Hello everybody. So, quick update. I'm still not 100% back with my voice, and I was a bit too lazy to get my camera out, so I'm doing it with a phone. You can see there are beds behind me. There's artichokes gone in the beds here. These are the agroforestry rows. I'm going to show you something else. So the soil has all been prepared. We just need to make beds in the rest of the garden. We've got 3 blocks, which I'll show you in a minute from close by. And here you can see over there you can see the agroforestry rows. So they're going to be trees there, and they're going to be shrubs, and also some herbaceous plants like the artichokes in the first one that you saw. You saw also that white net. The reason for the white net is that we still have the whole garden, the whole field open to intruders. And intruders include raw deer of 2 different types, in fact, then porcupines, wild boar, very aggressive, very big, and then we've got hares, and then we've got pheasants, and then we've got all sorts, essentially. Lots of wildlife, which is great. You know, there's also foxes and wolves, but it means we really need to fence ourselves off properly. And this is a job we'll start today. We've bought all the electric fencing equipment, and I'm going to use these guys, some cameras, wildlife cameras, to monitor where they'll try to get in, because they will try to get in inevitably, because they've been used to go from there, which is the woods at the top. Sorry, I'm doing it upside down. There you go. And they go over here, which is the river. Well, down there's the river, as you can see. So they go to drink at the river, by the river, when they in the summer, especially when there's a little water. So now they might not be so keen, but we've seen them in anyway, and then they'll be more keen in the future. And here there's some young grass, so that's why they come here. Also in the future there'll be veg, and so they'll be really hungry for veg. Raw deer is incredibly needy in terms of proteins, so anything like legumes and anything green and lush, the first microgreen size shoots, they're really keen to have it. This is the worst bit of the farm at the moment. It's where all the rubbish has been piled up, that we found, or it was found before we arrived here. There's all the bamboo. This is all bamboo rhizomes, and there's lots of rubbish there. But there's also a tank that we could use. It needs repairing, and that's a good thing. Let me continue with this mini tour. I'm just going to turn the camera around. Turns out I can't turn the camera around once I'm started, so I'm not going to turn the camera around. You'll have to see my face for a bit longer. So behind me is an area that I said we haven't started preparing yet because there's too much, and it would cost too much money. Talking of which, I'm going to do a video. I know this is very unusual on YouTube, isn't it? Or on Telegram, or in general, but I'm going to do a video which goes through all the expenses we've had to set this up. I can't do it yet because we're still spending a bit of money. And I think it's very important to be transparent. You've heard this from me many times, and being transparent means showing the whole process, showing what it involves, physically, mentally, design-wise, knowledge-wise, but also money-wise and resource-wise. And so we're going to make mistakes, obviously, and we want to show those mistakes so that somebody else perhaps doesn't make them, or because you can give us feedback and next time we won't make them. And so that involves talking about how much we spent to clear this field with machinery, how much we spent to buy the electric fencing, how much I'm going to spend to buy a pump for this well. So here you can see, pardon my camera work because I don't know what I'm doing really. I can't see the screen here. This is the well. I've done a few experiments with a surface pump. We're going to put an immersion pump, and there's a filter there. There's a lot of things that need figuring out. I've done a bit of exploring around to understand what people did in the past. Essentially, they had greenhouses there, and there was an irrigation system for greenhouses, which is not necessarily what we want, but we can reuse parts of it. You see there's a pipe going, well, let's go together. So yeah, so I was saying, we're going to have to add in the expenses for the pump, the irrigation system. That's going to be in the order of thousands again, unfortunately. And this is the rebars that we're going to use for the cheapest option we had to put electric fencing up quickly. And then look at the state of this. This needs redoing by an electrician. I'm going to get a quote for that soon, and it's needed. Otherwise, we can't put the pump in. So that's another expense. And then we have, yeah, this pipe is what I was talking about. It's here already, so we're going to have to find out where it ends up and use it. Anyway, what I'm excited about is not so much spending money, because at some point it's going to run out the little savings we made in England, but it's about planting the trees. And so we're going to have in 2 to 3 weeks, very hopeful, so perhaps 2 weeks, we're going to have people come and help us plant fruit trees, forestry trees, shrubs, agroforestry rows in essentially. And that's going to be really, really interesting to see how they cope here. You see, we have a lot of trees that we can draw inspiration from. There's a lot of elder, and that's quite good, because we can use it. The fact that we see it around us, it means that it grows well in this scenario, in these conditions, and so we can reuse it as a biomass plant. And if it grows wild, it means that it will grow well when we plant it, and so we can keep cutting it, and it will keep coming back, and it will be a great support plant to create biomass and become less dependent on compost, wood chip and hay. And here you can see the beds that we've made. So there's 1, 2, and the one at the back, 3 blocks of beds. We're still finishing this bed, this block here where the yellow wheelbarrow is, and we're using this compost here. And then we were delivered this compost, which looks like the one we used to get in the UK. It's not as good, unfortunately. It's a lot more dusty, and it smells not as nice, so obviously not a great product. And then we have some spoiled hay, which is great for what we need. I showed this in a previous video, and this is great for mulching things, to put, as a mulch on top of the compost, to help retaining water in the heat of the summer. Here we have some wood chip, some leafy ones and some more woody ones. Wood chips are really, really useful, because we can mulch both the agroforestry rows but also the paths. And again, we're going to have a lot of weeds. One thing that I didn't say, but it's very, very crucial, is that over here we didn't manage to tarp any of this before starting. This is a no-no. We should have. So we're going to have to be clever. We couldn't do it because we were in a rush. We were very late to start the season. So we made beds. We know there's going to be tons of weeds. So we're going to tarp selectively. When we see the weeds coming up, we're going to tarp 1 block and let the weeds die while we plant things in another block. And in that block where we put plants, we need to hand weed. The other blocks will be tarped with the beds already made. So when we uncover them and the weeds are dead, the beds are already there. And at the back there, behind the big tree, there you go. I can't really see very well. Yeah, you see there's a poplar tree there. So behind that one, we are going to put green manures. Thanks to Umberto for donating the green manures. And then we're going to plant those, make a lot of biomass, improve the soil, then chop them down a couple of times and then tarp. So we'll save on compost, we'll save on weeding, and we'll still get a decent result, hopefully. So stay tuned. There's a lot going on in the next few videos. I'm going to show you a few things. Let me know what you would like for me to talk about. I'll probably talk about the differences between the UK and Italy, not bureaucracy-wise, because that would take a day, but perhaps gardening-wise, how to set up a garden this way and how differently we did it and why. And then I'm going to talk about what I call the transparency report, what it has involved in terms of work and in terms of expenses to set this up, even though we're still very far from having an operational farm here. And we have to do everything on a shoestring budget because obviously we don't have the resources. There's not money coming in, and there won't be until we sell some veg. And even then, vegetables, you need to sell a lot of vegetables to make even £100. So we have to be very, very careful with how we spend money and how we create income streams. It's going to be a big challenge over here because people are not so into high quality vegetables as they were in the UK. So we'll have to be clever in the ways we approach the community and we explain what we do. But anyway, stay tuned and you'll learn more.